All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. This is Andrew Bennett here with TWC. Uh, Radar update for January 8th, 2025. And just want to jump right into it here. I'm going to try to keep this a little bit shorter today because it's really not a whole lot of change compared to what we went over yesterday. And of course, we're going to start with some STEM. But it's really the only reason I bring up STEM is because we had quite a bit of a drop today to start the day, and it fell right into an area of support where this was highlighted in green. I had this actually previously highlighted, so it was nice to see that that did hold up. But I don't know if it's going to have one more leg down, meaning maybe just get back down to this S1 completely because it just kind of fell short of the hourly S1 at 78 cents. What I'm thinking here is that this is a one. Okay. There's a chance that this is a 1-2-1-2. So that's my thought at the moment. Or this was a 1-2-3, and this is a deeper 4, and then this could be potentially a like a leading diagonal 1-2-3-4, and then 5 to come up. Okay. So those are the things I'm kind of thinking. I'm not considering this coming down much farther just yet. There's some really good support at this other green area around the 58-cent level, 58 cents. So, and this is the 1 hour. So the MAs, although it's under the MA, I'm not like that crazy. MAs on the shorter time frame for me are really not that important. It's really the larger time frames. So I see that it's under that. It's kind of struggle with it, but it could pop back up there. So, but it's the pivots that I do want to see hold up on the S1, and then kind of get back over the pivot. Okay, and then if it gets back over the pivot soon, then it could have potential to fill a gap scenario from over the overnight gap. So we'll see what happens there. RSI is low on the Stoke RSI, low on the Fisher RSI, and getting pretty low on the standard RSI. So the indicators are looking better and better for a local bottom. Remember, this is the 1 hour, so this is a local bottom. I do see this as an A, B, and then possibly a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get that 5. So this is like the 4 and 5. The institutional 705 level is right at the S1. I just really like the 78 cents level right now. I might even like it enough to put a little bit more into the bag, but I'd rather see reaction there instead of like just set it and go. Because if it slips down beyond that, that would mess up my dollar cost averaging. So I'm coming in kind of high here still. So I'd rather see reaction and then maybe jump in first. I'm not sure yet, so we'll see what happens. But that is an area that I'm looking at, 78 cents. Okay. TGT. I just want to bring up real quickly the 4 hour. And I told you that I think that 5 is done. And I really like actually what happened today. It dropped down to the pivot and it wicked really nice at the hourly pivot, which was just a little around like $137.33, somewhere right around there. And then it bounced, and then the 4 hour is closed, and it closed in this green, and it kind of was trying to push above it again. So I'm trying to look for some support on that green before we go. I did think though that we might come down a little bit farther. So this could bleed into next week. This might be a longer drawn out wave 2. So like a 1, 2, 3, then so it might be an A, B, and then a C that bleeds into next week. Not 100% confirmed on that, but starting to feel that way because we're getting close to the end of the week. Wednesday is now done. All we got is Thursday, Friday. Not very many 4 hour candles left. But I do like the nice wick into the pivot and then kind of bounce and held. So that could be like an A, B, and then we got a C still, or that was an A, B, C, and that was done. That technically could be done because this is a 1-2-1-2. So it doesn't have to be that crazy. But as you can see here, it didn't hit the 50. It went between the 382 and the 50. So That's not terrible. It's really not. It actually, no, there's no gap there. It looks like there's a gap there, but it's not terrible. So, but this was like kind of quick up and down. So it kind of still looks like it's in correctional phase. So maybe what could happen is if it could go and hit the 50 at $135.51 and then wick back up again, that would be really nice. That could be really, really nice. And then we want it to really get strong within the pivot there, and really kind of get right back to R1 again. If that happens, this is the 1 hour. If that happens pretty fast, okay. So on the 1 hour, if we see that wick down again, and we would like to see a nice bounce, and then that's go time, okay. That's go time for me. MRNA, I've been battling with this one because I'm starting to really get interested in it because we were seeing that rise. And yesterday, interesting enough, I said not a good time to enter. Sure enough, I was completely right about that. It just went right back down to square one from yesterday's gains. Um, let's see here. Yeah, so yesterday, Tuesday, it started here, and then it's now end of Wednesday, and it went back to the $43 level. And why I'm struggling here is because of this count. Because this counts as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pretty clean, even when I pull fibs, as you can see. It's the extension on the 2.618 extended 5, so that's really good. And then it really came down for a 2. So there's actually, I actually think that there might be a flat going here, meaning an A, B, and then a C. Okay. A, B, and then like a C down, back here again. Okay. A C can actually go below A, obviously, on a flat, but it wouldn't. You don't want it to go too low because you don't want to go lower than the lower low here. Okay, so it's going to be. If this is the case, it's probably going to meet it a little short. It could even go to just like right here. That's if this is an ABC. I want to see how this counts. This downward counts out. Okay. It's difficult. This could be wrong because the way I counted this being a 1 2 1 2 was this was a 1 2 flat and this was a 3 and then 4 1 2 and then this was a pop for a 5. Okay, we got a pop 5 for a 1 2. So that would be like maybe a leading diagonal for the start of wave 3. That's the other consideration. So I pulled the fibs on this too, and we're right on the 50. So I'm just kind of being patient. I really like Moderna a lot, though. I'm starting to really get interested here and going, grabbing some bags here, going long, and seeing where this will go. I kind of talked about it. Maybe could it keep going up? And with it dying down here really fast, now I'm thinking, okay, that was kind of a top there. I will say too, lastly, that this could still be correctional. Like this is an ABC, okay? So this doesn't mean that we're going to the moon at all yet. All right, it's looking good, don't get me wrong, but because this came down so far, you can see, we look for that 1-to-1 level. I just kind of quickly did this. The 1-to-1 level is right where it kind of was at. So that, that's just something to think about. That's kind of a guide. That doesn't mean absolute, but this was a really sharp down here, so that makes me think that this is either a B or something as a flat, because I really like this being a 1 2 3 4 5 here. I do. Everything checks off here for a wave 1 and a wave 2. Okay, so we just got to figure out what's going on after here. That's it. And it wasn't very clean, so it kind of tells me that maybe this is a flat going on, and that's why I want it to come down. Either way, I'm thinking it's coming down, possibly to $40 level, maybe even down to 38, 37. So, and that should be a good, nice entry point. It really should, because you can, if you set, you're setting your stop loss, you can just kind of set it under here. If it goes below, then we know that this is not really the call. So, and then we can look at it maybe as this could be Wyckoff or something else, okay? Which, I guess I never thought about it being, gosh, my computer does that a lot. I guess I never thought about this maybe being Wyckoff range. That would be cool to see too, but that's going to take a while still. That's going to probably take another month, or maybe the rest of January. All right. So those two we've been talking about a lot. Here's a new one. This actually was brought up in Chris's live stream, I think, on Friday, or one of the Fridays recent. It's ROBO, okay, and it's an index ETF, okay, and it's like AI, all the AI, right? AI is kind of the fad right now. Everyone's talking about AI and what have you. And I was like, well, maybe I should look at this one. And sure enough, there's something going on here. I'm going to tell you all right now that this is looking very bullish. That this is not done, not even close to being done. Maybe it had a really nice run. It had a really nice run from March 20 to 21. So like a year of just crushing it, and then it really just died from there. So from February 21, and it really went down to October. I mean, that's a long time. So like 1 year and then 2 years back down. So now it's starting to kind of build momentum, and there's a pretty good clean 5 up, and then a large 1-2 here. So I started counting, but I started zooming in. This is on the weekly. Sorry about that. I just thought of something. Okay, this is on the weekly, right? A couple things on the pivots. A lot of pivots were really close to price on the new weekly pivots. This one is the same, but it opened up between the pivot and the R1. We like that. I also like that it's ranging in between there, and it has been for a while. Since September of last year, it's been just in this nice range. So when I zoomed in here, because I'm starting to think this is a large 1-2. Okay. So 1, 2, and then we got a 1-2 again, and then we're getting another 1-2. And so at that point, we got a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. If there's a 3 coming, it's coming. Like, it's going to be nice. It's going to probably run through R1, R2, and R3 possibly quickly, because we're kind of squeezing into, and that's why I have this orange resistance, because I put that there because obviously it's important, because you can see here it was support, and then it broke down, and now it's testing it, and testing it again. But look how I drew this orange upward line here for support. See how it's almost like an ascending triangle kind of happening, where price is kind of wanting to push up into the resistance. That's what you want to see. And this is, at this point, it's really kind of getting to where this is either going to sharply break down, or really probably, in my opinion, is actually going to go up. Okay, because we should be seeing some weakness and really struggling to get up, and it's really wanting to go up, and it's this resistance is just trying to do the best it can at $59-$60 to hold that. But with the new pivot and weekly R1, and the R1 is above this resistance at $60, almost $61, it's pretty promising. So what we could see is, and here I'm going to zoom in a second, is I'm thinking we're going to go up here and then just keep going. Okay, so right now it's ultimately right now is a good time to go long. I mean, that's kind of where I'm going with this. So here again is that orange 1-2. Okay, so it was the A, B, C, very clean correctional wave, and then to start the 3 of 3, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. This is all like a leading diagonal. Got a lot of this like overlapping price action. And what's really great, this is what I wanted to, this is where I want to show you. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it got 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. And this very much looks as reaccumulation. Okay, it does. Because it's like a 5. You like to see like reaccumulation going into a 5 on a 1, and then kind of finding support for the 2 inside of that range, and then it will pop. And look, it's right at that orange resistance. There's also some nice support at the S1. Okay, so here's, now I'm in the daily for a second. So what I had to do is I have to, okay, where's the pullback going to be? All right. Well, if this was all 5 up, I pulled the fibs. Because it's leading diagonal, it doesn't have to go down to the 0.5. It could stay around the 382, and it actually went down to that area here. So that's what I'm thinking, is like 1, 2, boom, and then it's kind of rocking around, and then now it's hammered into the daily pivot. So here's what I'm thinking, okay, because I don't want to get too crazy in the counts here. You don't want to keep going down the road of counts. You want to just kind of let it work itself out. It would be getting too cute to like really wait for a perfect price. So right now it looks like, if there's 2 different scenarios here. We got, this is an A, B, and this is an A, B, C so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, A, B, C up, and we're going to have 1, 2, 3 more down to maybe the S1, and then that will be lift off. Okay, so like at 54 range. Or this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back to the R1. It breaks the R1 and holds up there. It kind of comes down a little bit, and then that's the lift off. So I see 2 different scenarios here that if you really could just be like, well, I just want to go right here. That's fine, because even if you wanted to do that, you could probably set a stop loss way down here by this like 2. Technically it could, it could actually go down here, but you're probably thinking, well, I don't want to lose money. Maybe I set a stop loss here. I just don't want to set it to S1 because there's a chance it could go to the S1. So I'd like to see, if I want to play it more safe, I'd probably drop it down to 51. Or if you really want to set it up properly, you can go to the 2 at $49.23. Okay, so just go 49 even. That's really setting up really nice, because then you don't have to worry about the pullback eating you up, and then you're thinking, oh my gosh, if you just go down to this 2 here, because if it goes down to the 2 and breaks down even there, the count's off, and there's something really bad happening. But with this range here, and it looking like a nice reaccumulation, and this hammer on the daily pivot, okay, that's another thing too. Look, it came up, broke through the pivot, it hit the R1, back to the pivot, and then hammered. All right, this is nice. You want to talk about price action? That's exactly what you want to see. Okay, this is ROBO. All right, and this is nice what we're seeing here. So what you could see is, if you could see it pop up and it could come back down again, I wouldn't freak out there. I would be like, all right, there, because it's kind of got a small little wave count going here, but really it should be really pretty fast, and we want to see it break through the orange. Now, if you want to play a little more safe, you can let it break through the orange, and then maybe retest the orange as support. There's nothing wrong with that, because right now we are a little bit of the carriage of front of the horse, because this is still resistance. But I just like the leading up to it. That's where I'm at mentally on this, and I'm feeling really good about it. Okay. Again, it could go down and here from here. So that doesn't, there's no guarantees here. All right. So just be, if you want to go into this, obviously, make sure you use proper risk management. I am not a financial advisor, of course, so you would have to discuss any investments with them. But in the educational world and seeing and reading charts, this is how I read this, and I see that this chart wants to lead up. Okay. Another one is BABA. This is one that I know a lot of people were really hyped on for a long time, and then it really just tanked. This is just on the radar for right now for me because I want to know what's happening here, but it looks like, excuse me. So it just did so well, went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to $322, and it basically just tanked all the way back down to almost all-time low. It did not go all-time low though, so that could be considered as a 1-2. Now, this looks like it could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is maybe a B, or working on a triangle for a B, and then it still has a C to go, or a 1, 2, 3, up to maybe 138 or 164, and that still could be correctional. But there's also a stronger scenario, and I'll tell you this, that this is the bottom, okay, as a 2, and there's a 5 up here, and this is a correctional 2, so it's a 1, 2, and then a 1, 2. Because I could see this really here as a leading one for a larger wave 3. Okay, this is on the weekly, so as you see, it's below the weekly pivot. The S1 is not below this swing low. Okay, so I say that because this could be a 1, A, B, C, and then really pop off. So this is just on the radar for me right now, meaning I want to know what's going on here in the maybe in the next could be a couple months, possibly. I do see that there is a earnings call at the end of the month. That's interesting. Earnings call at the end of the month could be pretty good. I'd like to see what's happening there. So I am on the right now. I'm currently thinking 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. I'm going to tell you that I like what it did here on the daily. Although it is below the daily pivot, it does appear that it's going into a possible Wyckoff accumulation. Although if it starts to break down, it's probably distribution. I'm on the fence with this range. It needs to like find itself like right away. If it starts finding itself and starts to go up, then we want to see it to go to R1 and then back to the pivot this month. And that's where we could start seeing where this is wanting to go up because of the earnings call that's coming up. It had a really nice run up here, and then it really shot back down, and then possibly into a range. Why I think this is a good range, and I will say that the range is a little bit, it's got a peak point here, which sometimes the range would be maybe right there over here. So I don't know if the range is how accurate it is, but I will say this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's why I think this might be done. It also hit on the pullback levels at 618. Okay, so the pullback was 618. So this looks like it could be finishing up here with a good earnings call coming at the end of the month. So I like to see that, but I want to see it go over the pivot. Okay, there was an area where I saw. That's it. So the 50 MA, see how it's holding the 50 MA here, right? So that daily pivot and the weekly pivot are really close. $89 on the weekly and $86 on the daily. So that would be a really nice double break on both pivots. Okay. That would be fantastic. So we would see that come up and then hit that boom up here to the R1, probably right into this wick for that. That would be that last, that last lower high, I should say. And we kind of come back to the pivot and hopefully hold that as support. We're crossing here on the MAs, which is kind of nice too. That means averages are kind of coming together, long-term, short-term averages. So that's normally a decent sign to see. So we wanted to see that kind of pull through and do its magic. But again, we want to, going back to this daily here, a breakdown to the S1 isn't terrible. You just want to see it keep going up again. So if it were to break down the S1, maybe that's where the range is kind of accumulate there, and then it kind of goes back and forth and then kind of comes up. So again, the BABA is just on my radar for now, but I do like it. The weekly looks good. You know, looking at it more on a macro level, I do like this. This is possibly being a 1-2-1-2, and I like that. There's potential that it could get above the pivot. Okay. Now, if it does go down to the S1, that would be a really nice buying opportunity, in my opinion, because that would be like the ABC. Because you can just stop loss on this wick, maybe at $57. So that's interesting too, but I'm not there yet. All right, MSTR. I'm not really much to say here, other than the fact that remember how I mentioned yesterday I wanted to get above the pivot and hold, but didn't even get close. Never even had a chance up there. So it is a doji, a doji candle. So that's not not bad to see, honestly. But it needs follow through. Okay. So doji candle means it could be reversing, but it needs to have a follow through candle to really kind of confirm that. Or it could just kind of keep breaking down. And then we would see it break down to maybe the S1, which from there we really need to figure out what this count is, because what are we seeing really happen overall? That would be the question. Because right now this looks like a larger WXY or a larger A, and then this is a V, and then we're gonna have this like larger C. And do we want, we don't want it to start breaking down into this area, because we thought that this was like a 1, 2, 3, 4. And if it starts breaking down in that 2, then it's like, well, what is this count? And the count needs to be relooked at overall. But I just want to talk about how that just dojied, so it's not the end of the world. It didn't fall. It found some support there. There's also the chance that this is a 1-2. Okay, 1, 1-2. It just doesn't really look like it, but it could. It could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I zoomed in or on a smaller time frames, there's a chance. It's still there. Okay, that leads into Bitcoin. Bitcoin on the 4 hours when I'm watching, and there's that huge monster drop. Obviously, I have a lot of support, and which is now resistance levels. So we've lost basically all the support levels that I liked. So now, it's going to be, in my opinion, a struggle, or some really strong pumps that gets us through those. But it's got to start with the first one. This one here in orange at the $94,000 level. That was one that I was hoping it would hold. It did break down, but it did wick into the S1. And now it's finding that the S1 is supporting it, and it's wanting to go up. So this could turn back into green support if this gets back up here. Okay. And then we'd like to see that hold as support. And that's starting to be starting to turn more positive for the bullish scenario. But really, actually getting above the pivot itself on the hourly is really what we want to officially see. And then it's got the daily pivot that it's been below for a little while now. The daily pivot is here. Remember how yesterday I drew that channel? I told you I'm gonna leave that up. Well, check this out. I didn't really move the channel at all since then. And it went down to the EQ. It went below it, but then now it's wicking above it. That's really a good sign. So if it wicks down below it and then holds above the EQ, then the next candle that we could see on the daily, which will be in the next hour and a half, could hold that and start to grow and come back up. That's a really nice sign. Okay, that would be really fantastic to see that it holds this EQ, because there's some support resistance on that EQ there. It also just, this support green here actually technically could be right here. Yeah, and see how it tapped inside there just barely. I'll zoom in. just kind of barely went into this area. This is, I mean, obviously this is like the support of all supports for all this range. Okay. I've seen a lot of talk, excuse me. I've seen a lot of talk about this being now like a complex head and shoulders. And I will say that that's, I guess legitimate, something to look at, honestly. Okay. It's possible. It's very broken up and it's got 18 different shoulders. Obviously, I'm not a fan of that. Let me show you something. So it's like right here. Okay. Okay. So that's kind of what everyone's, talking about. And if that's the case, then we're gonna drop. If you don't know, most of us, probably do know, but you measure the neckline to the head. I mean, we're kind of guesstimating the neckline to be right around there. I'm not going to try to accurately figure this out, but it puts us down there pretty far. Look what it does, though. It puts us down to fill these true value gaps. Right? There's two of them here on the daily, by the way. Okay. So that would mean those would probably fill up. That'd be 77,000. If we're hitting 77,000, then we're probably looking at retesting an old break point, which is this one here when we were struggling forever at 73. So we might actually see that retested too. And then from there, should be a very strong bounce. Very strong bounce. I would imagine that there's probably a lot of people that set up some buys down in this area because if they do want to see it slip, they want to catch a good area to buy. That's fine. That makes sense. I don't do that because I don't want to ever be, because I mean this is obviously a monster drop, so there has to be something that's making that slip out. It's like people are getting liquidated or whatever, and his shorts are probably really jumping in. So the green is clearly the line in the sand, right? Really seeing it drop down below that. The S1 is there. So here's the thing. Excuse me. Here's where I get hesitant with the S1. Okay. I like the fact that it could bounce there, of course. It's also the bottom part of this channel, which I talked about yesterday. But what it needs to do, though, is it needs to get back above this support. Okay. This is a strong support here. Okay. It really had a tough time getting above it here when it came into this area a while back. In the beginning of November, like in the middle of November, it was struggling to get it, and it finally got up here. And then it found support, found support, found support. It found support on that big drop that we talked about a while back. It's been finding support over this little range here, and now it's finding support again currently. That's a lot of support that if we break through and we get to the S1, we better get back above that support because that could be resistance. Okay. If this is going to be a larger ABC and we're really going to tank down, there's going to be people out there that are going to look at that as a shorting opportunity. I'm going to tell you right now, because that's going to look like that's going to possibly very strongly act as resistance. So, that 91, 90,000, even 92 area, we're going to be talking about that area if we break down. Okay. So I'm going to keep this here. And right now we're looking good. We got some good volume. We got a nice wick. We're above the EQ. So there's a lot of nice things here. As far as the head and shoulders go, if I had to put a number on it, I would say 25% head and shoulders. This is what kills the head and shoulders is that Darth Maul to me. Okay, the Darth Maul, because it came down to the neckline again. So that, we got a neckline like here. it came down the necklines. That's why it's like a complex head and shoulders, because it's like two shoulders on either side. It's like, okay, at what point is it not head and shoulders, right? So anyway, but a lot of people are seeing that because of these two bumps here. So I don't know. We'll see. I do not trade that, but I will say my support is that's what my site is on right now. Okay. So yeah, I want to see this hold up. Let's see what happens. Ethereum, as far as alts go, they've broken some pretty interesting levels where I'm actually going to wait for them to go up, and I might set some short scalps. Okay, because as we start to bounce here, you know, it would be, and again, we have to get above these levels that we struggled to get above before in price. So now that we're below it again, they act as they act as resistance again, and they act as possible shorting areas. All right. Again, if you reverse the roll and you see price to go back into that, if I reverse the scale, right, and if I came up here and I saw it come back down here, I would be looking at longing, because that was, an area that was support, right? Well, obviously reversed scale. Going back to the standard scale, we're bouncing in an area which we figured we'd bounce. Okay, it did make a little bit lower low here, by the way. So I don't, this is tricky. This is Ethereum, by the way. It is below the hourly S1, so that's also something to look at. And then right above that, there's a resistance, and right above that, there's even stronger resistance. Okay, so if it somehow makes it up in between here and keeps going, then let's go. That's go time. The bullish side of this is the fact that on the 4-hour RSI indicators are just way low, and they call for bottom right now. Okay, they're calling for bottoms on the RSIs. Everything is extremely low and starting to curl up. And this is and where it's at in support. This would be a nice area to just see if it comes back down. And if it were to kind of retest this, that would be a long, and see where it goes. Okay. Now, if it's going to go in the resistance, it's going to bounce a little bit. And again, like I said, that's a potential scalp short area. So just be cautious. So it's going to be a little bit of a battle, unless, we see this crazy candle that comes right back up to the pivot very quickly. Then, all what I'm saying about resistance is basically gone. But right now, I'm saying that these are resistance points that people are going to be looking at scalp shorting, in my opinion. Okay. Here's one that I really actually like. There's not a lot of alts that I like really, like, oh, I'm all about it. But this one has caught my eye. It's Ray, RAY, and it's connected to the Sol ecosystem. And what I like about it is, number one, it has a lot of support, and it hasn't broken any of it, first of all. Number two, is that the fact that it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has a more clear 5 waves up, and now it's coming down, and it just bounced right off the hourly pivot, which a lot of alts didn't. A lot of alts have broken down through the hourly pivot and also through the S1. So this is showing some very strong strength, and it's also showing and telling me that that this could be 5 up, and now we got a 2. So we got a 1, 2 here. And when I pulled the fibs on it, it didn't quite get to the 0.5, but it went into this green support level here. But 0.5 was just barely below it. So it's a nice pullback in this case, okay? And it bounced right on the pivot, like perfectly. So this is really looking good. If this starts to, maybe pull back a little bit farther, I might actually hit a long on this. So if I were to kind of zoom in on this one, like, look at this. This is showing like long material right here all day. Okay. So we got this really nice, strong. I haven't even looked at the 4-hour here in a little bit. I was looking at it when it was breaking down. This hammer above the S1, and now we got this other one building up. and that's pretty good. The volume is not that high at all, though. Oh my gosh, there's really not much volume. So definitely want to see that close out first. To be safe, you'd probably, obviously you'd want to get above the pivot and hold it. That's definitely the more safe call. Um, but gosh, what a great reaction here. You got A, B, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This look is like a nice correctional wave and holding the S1. So Ray is really, really on the radar for me. Even maybe a nice little grab and go long here. Okay. I don't want to get, like I said, longs are possibly, 1 hour, 15 minute, 4 hour. And I said the daily, I'm not, not dealing with daily trading on longs, but this is the one I do like on the daily. The daily looks fantastic. Okay. So Ray is on, and I'll post this on the chat room too for TWC. But um, you can see here it's got the 1, 2, the 3, and then it's got this nice range, and then 5 up, and then we went right back into that wave 4. Okay, this was obviously a wave 4. One looks like 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is probably a 1, 2. Okay, so this was a flat 4. It looks like because it went below here. So this was like 1, 2. This is like an A, B, C for B, and it came back down here, and it was flat. So it didn't actually break below A. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. All right. So like to see what's happening here. You can maybe even get into that 1 hour and see what's going on. It doesn't, it's hitting some resistance currently. So maybe an up to the pivot, see what happens, and then it could come back down. Um, you know, it's hard to say looking at that because I haven't really analyzed the hourly just yet, so I don't want to say anything that without making sure. But right now it looks good. This is a nice pullback for Ray um, on that. So, and look at all that green. Look at all the support it has to still break down. I mean, it's holding. It's holding nice. AI16Z. That's that one meme coin I was talking about, where a lot of hype on it, a lot of movement. It's been moving really good. I thought maybe it would hold up. It broke down. I think it was here. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. It was down here, and then it broke down some more. But I think that was it because a nice hammer into some strength down here, and now it's trying to work its way up. Here's what's cool about this one because it looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's still hitting resistance, right? So it looks like it wants to come back down, but it might be a 2. So this would be like you get coming in a long possibly here, which you could do. I know Chris likes to do this a lot too. I love doing this. Find that supply demand here, supply demand action. So I'll throw up a little range here with the EQ and of the wick. Okay. So because this looks like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This looks like a small wave 1. So it's hitting resistance here is orange. And I mean, you could actually short this technically, but I wouldn't do this because this looks like it wants to come back down here and then find some support again and then go for a 3. So I'm going to watch this on the 1 hour. I want to see what happens. I want to see when it comes back, if it does come back down here, that I might grab a scalp here and set a stop loss on this wick. Okay. So that might be fast. So I'm going to tell you guys right now, I try to hit trades on TWC as best I can, but it's hard to do a trade and then jump in there and do all the things and talk about it because it might already start going back up again. So I'll put it in there if it happens, but um, you know this is why I'm doing these videos because I want you to know where my head's at going into the trade. So that way you're kind of ahead of maybe even ahead of me, or maybe I missed a trade because I got busy and then you're like, hey, Andrew, check it out. I got in that trade, and hopefully it does what we want to do. So anyway, yeah, just throw throw your range right here. Check for the EQ, which is at $1.63, basically. It's 1.63038 to be exact. So I could see that coming back down again and hitting that, and then like to see some volume in that too. What would be really nice is if it came down, the volume spiked up again, but it wasn't as much volume as this one, and it really started moving. Okay, so that's gonna be great. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that. Okay, I might even set an alarm somewhere here. Now, here's another thing too. Oh, here's what I also wanted to say. There's also a chance that this is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 to break through, 4, 5, and then 4, 5 to end the wave back to the pivot. So that's the other. That's right. That's the other scenario. So if we're gonna get a 3, it should happen now or soon, and it should like candle through it and close above, like how it did here. Okay. So if this is like a 3, like a 1, 2, and then a 3 is happening, we should candle through this, 4 to maybe test it, and then 5 to complete the 3, and then 4 and 5 to get to the pivot or around there, or maybe a little bit above, and then come back down and maybe test it again. So I want to see what's happening here, because remember how I told you I like when we have a range, right? I'm just going to draw this quickly. We have a range, okay? We break down from the range like we're doing here, and then we come back up into the range, and we either bust out and hold it, or we go into it to another range and then we pull out of it. Okay, so give me a sec. So this is what this. All right, here's the two scenarios I like to see to go long. This is scenario number 1. You come through here, you kind of bounce around a little bit. It's gonna be choppy for a little bit, and then it kind of comes up. Maybe it tries to get above the pivot, says nope, comes back down, does this action, finds support, and then it's go time. Okay, so like that. All right, that's scenario number 1. Okay, so a nice strong candle through, hold it, try to get to the pivot, say no, come back down, and then come through and then break the pivot for another wave. Scenario number 2 is maybe, and oh, by the way, see how it would be in this double range? Okay, that's also solid. It could even go like this, and then that's even better, honestly, because it pushes through all these candles, and then it comes back into the candles, and then it goes up. That's even stronger. Okay, so I guess technically that's another scenario too. Overall, it's coming into this and then it's coming out. All right. The other scenario here is this. Is that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which it's starting to look this way, and this wants to kind of come like this for a little bit, come down here, and then it's going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. It'll be choppy for a little bit, and then finally get out, and then probably something like this. Okay, so it's more of a choppier way to get through this, but it's still a good scenario too. Okay, so right now it's finding resistance in the orange, which makes sense. So breaking down is not a big deal, but holding here is important. If it does want to come down here and it does do another wick, that's fine too, because maybe this count isn't perfect. But if we just start seeing slip, 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 and then loses this green, by the way, then it's probably more of like we're aiming for this S1 down here. So this is kind of the line. This is the line in the sand, essentially, where we think that maybe there's going to be some support here, or maybe we're just losing it altogether and we go down. Okay, so hopefully that helps on this one. That's where I'm at. I'm going to watch the hourly and see what happens. PEPE, I talked about yesterday the rising wedge. It broke the wedge. Remember I said, oh man, I wish I'd have shorted, and I gosh, it really did. It shot through these double greens, and now they're orange. And then it had a struggle time. It struggled with the S1, and then it found its last supported area here. This was a green that I already had. I extended it over here because like, oh, there's some support here, so that's pretty strong. And it's bouncing, but see how it's below the S1? It needs to get above that S1, okay? Or this is coming down. This possibly could be coming down. So there's some alts that don't look good at all, and then there's some alts that are like, hey, this looks pretty good. So that's confusing to me because alts normally will roll the same direction overall, but I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to. There could be some confluence, and there could be some alts that do better than others. But like for example, Ray looks good. Like Ray coming back to Ray, that looks fantastic. But then you go to PEPE, you're like, oh boy, this better start coming up soon. And it can. That nice candle with the wick into that support was fantastic. Again, you know, people that are shorting and they do this is just the same as if you were to go long at the very top. This is like going short at the very bottom. Okay. Look at look at your indicators. If you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's starting to break down, I'm gonna go short, I'm gonna make money, but you look at your indicators and they're all like way low, right? Pump the brakes on your short and switch your mind and think, wait a minute, is this a time to go long? Indicators are there for a reason. They're supposed to tell us about where price action is, developing in, I don't know how the science of indicators is, but ultimately it's telling me that although price is coming down on the chart, the indicator is saying, wait a minute, we're really low, in our in the price action itself, and we could start to see that selling is starting to tank and buying is actually starting to take off. Okay, hopefully I said that right. And so with everything very low, everything is really low. And I want to show you something else. This is the 4 hour. Here's that hike in again. I know I keep talking about this, but I bring this up for a reason because it really does kind of identify reverses in a way. All right. And sure enough, when wicks are lower than the previous one, it's starting to find a reversal in whatever direction it's going. Well, look, strong wick, and the next one is not even the same length of wick. And so it's starting to say, wait a minute, I think we're starting to come to the green again, okay, to the green wicks. So in another hour and 3 minutes, we're going to see a new candle, and I'd be interested to see. This is also would be starting a new day. Interested to see if this is maybe a green like doji wick, and that could be like, ooh, look at that. That could be a nice grab a scalp long. Okay. Now I say scalp long because we need to see it get above these resistance oranges, and then that pivots change on this one, so don't look at the pivots on that. Okay. So if it starts to reverse here, we need to get above these oranges, and there's the pivot, the standard hourly pivot too. Okay, so there's a lot of resistance coming up. Okay, so it better be like super bullish. Because it had this big strong candle coming down, it could have the same strong candle going back up again. And that would be that if we see that, then it's telling us this was a reversal, most likely a V pattern, right? A V pattern reversal. Okay. And then the wedge was just maybe an indication of a breakdown. It wasn't really measure the wedge type of scenario. Hard to say that yet, but either way, we found support. It makes sense where the support is at. So we just need to see this really kind of. This looks good. It wouldn't be a bad idea, by looking at the chart to set a stop loss right at the below this wick and grab a little and see what happens. Okay, because the indicators are looking really nice. The indicators are starting to come up. Now, if you watch the indicator, you see some resistance or something to curl down, or if it's having a tough time to get above the S1, then we could see that bleed down again. But for right now, it's not a bad thing. Now I have seen Stochc RSI go up as price kind of bleeds down still, so be cautious there. But with the Fisher being really low also, and regular RSI is in the oversold, and this is the 4 hour, by the way. This is the 1 hour, 4 hour, okay? Even the 8 hour, okay? The 8 hour is even doing something special on the RSIs. It didn't go into oversold on the 8 hour yet, though, so that's something to watch for. And see here, although it's hammering, it's not getting above the S1. If this hammers and turns green above the S1, that would be fantastic in this last hour. Actually, I'm going to keep the 8 hour open, and I'm going to watch the 8 hour on this. Yeah, I want to see the 8 hour. This to me is really what to watch on this one. Okay. Here's one that I like. It's banana. It's called Banana Gun. It's so silly. These coins are so dumb. But I tell you what I like about this is the price action in general. It's really good. So it was kind of hard to find where you trade this. I can trade this on Femex. It's not on Coinbase, but maybe one day it will be. But here's what I like about it. It came out here. This was the start. Came down. Well, this is the start on Binance, and then it has this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a leading diagonal wave 1. Really clean too. Like 1, 2, 3. I mean, everything is really clean, right? And then it has an A, B, C down. Look, it was a flat, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now it's got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like it's starting another leading diagonal wave 1, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we should get a 5. Make sure you guys can see that. So 1, 2, 3. Look at those nice strong candles for a 3. Okay, so candles are matching up, right? And it was an ABC 4, and we got a 5 coming up, and it should come just above the pivot, and then it will reject at the pivot. Okay, and then it should only have a pretty small pullback back into this area, and then it should want to go. All right, because this is a leading diagonal as a 1. It should stay in this range as the pullback. All right. So that's what I'm looking for. I like this one a lot, and it's like a $50 million market cap. Let me double check that. No, my bad. $150. $151 million market cap. I thought it was 50. Either one, it's still low. 151 million. In today's meme coin world, that's nothing, right? So yeah, so this could have some potential to really, really take off, because that was a wave 1 and this is a 2. I would be watching this. If you like meme coins, you're like, man, I keep missing out on one. Banana could be one to watch. I don't know if you're going to be able to trade it. All right, if you got Femex, you can trade on Femex, and there's some other ones too. Obviously, you can trade it on Binance. It's a lot of the Gate.io and all those ones. But either way, if hopefully you can, and if you like this, I would definitely. This is completely on the radar for sure. Actually, I might even post about it yet. There was some good support down here. What a great time to buy right here. Setting a stop loss on this wick and then grabbing something right here would have been so great, because you're at $36 down there, and just knowing that this thing is doing what it's doing now, I would feel so good about that buy-in. But it's okay. What we want to do is see that wave 5, okay, and then come back down and then look for a good long opportunity. Okay, so this is going to be 5 waves up, leading diagonal. That's what it looks like. Now I'm watching the 4 hour because I want to watch the hourly pivots. Oh, this is great. See, when I started this, it was actually looking like it was going to break down, but now it's starting to go green again here on this 4 hour, so that's even better. So this looks like kind of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or something like that. It's coming into this cluster, so it's got some resistance to go through here. But I could see this kind of going boom, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then probably a sharp down again. So it's going to be kind of jumpy around here, choppy for a little bit. But what we want to identify is that wave 5 and then the wave 2, and then it's go time. Okay, I like banana a lot. This has potential to really. This says like a let's do price moving like Pepe did a while back when Pepe had a really nice run. Um, on the ranking, it's a 418, so it's pretty high up there. But if it starts to gather some traction, you can go from 400 rank to like 200 rank pretty quickly. A bunch of money starts bunting it going into it, then who knows? Look at the MAs on the 4 hour, and then there was another one too. The 8 hour, it's holding up. There was one at a. Maybe it was the 12. See how it's like a nice hold on the 12. The 12-hour MAs are good to watch, by the way. Yeah, nice, just a nice strong candle 12-hour that's about to close. It's exactly what we want to see here. This looks so good. Man, this looks good. I'm really liking this a lot. And it's things like this that are making me feel a little bit bullish when the market is kind of, it's pretty bearish right now, but we see like setups like this where it really could turn out to be something nice, right? Something really good. Okay. When I mean really good, here's what I mean by really good. Okay. This is what I mean. If, in fact, this is a 1 and a 2, okay? I'm sorry, a 1 here and 2 back down. This has a potential to be at $166 minimum wave 3, okay? It's at $43 right now. It has a minimum potential wave 5 at 238, okay? That's a lot of potential right there, all right? Now this is the 3-day. It's still below the daily pivot, so don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself here, but there's some nice setup here coming in the lower time frames that are possibly showing a wave 1, 2, and then we look for that 3. And the way I look at this is this should move because it doesn't have a very many. I don't know if everyone ever looks at this or not. I do a lot. I like to check the total and available supply. This has got very little supply and very little market cap. So this has the ability to move quickly if money starts to dump into this thing. And I'm not saying like move like a double up. I'm talking about like 4x, 5x, 6x, 7x kind of scenario. That's the kind of things that I like to find that has potential. Nothing is guaranteed, of course. But let's just say it jumps to that's 356% from where it's at now. Actually, if I were to just go from where it's at now, it's at 277. And then here, right here, if we go up, it's about 450%. So that's some really great gains to find if this, in fact, does have some good way and traction to move up. Okay. I'm not sure what's up with the weekly pivots here. It's kind of strange how it's like in the middle. Yeah, it does show it's January though. So maybe this is just, I don't know, maybe this is a glitch. But the weekly pivot R5 is near that 166. It's at 156. But I gotta tell you, on some of these like meme coins and things, they go way above the R5 sometimes on the weekly. I've seen many different coins and altcoins that do that. So that doesn't mean that's like the end all. It could really get up there. So anyway, it's a really nice find, and I'm excited about it. And I really want to watch this thing like a hawk. Okay. So daily pivot, important to get above and hold. Oh, that was another thing too. This was really nice support resistance. And look at all these wicks and on the daily, and it tried to get up, and it even tried to get up here, and then it got shot down again, and now it's trying again. So just another good spot. Just another good area to. Wait a minute. Not sure why I did that. Yeah, I want that orange line to be there. Just another good area to watch here, this orange. Okay, so it's got a nice resistance. If we get above that, that should hold as support. because it's really strong resistance. Okay. I mean, look, it really shot down. And see how this thing wicked up and came back down again? Sometimes what happens is that's the icebreaker, bah, right? And now we have a more of a clear path to get through that. Okay, you'll see that in you know in charts a lot. Okay, that was banana. Okay, so keep that in mind. XRP, almost done here. Let's see here. XRP is looking so good as the triangle looks to be completing. It really is starting to. Okay, I'm telling you right now, you know, this is looking ready to go. All right, this looks like this is just a long range or triangle, I should say. That last dip just was bought up so fast, brought it right back up to the pivot. Now, see, now it's coming up, and this orange line, I'm telling you all, draw this orange line if you on log scale from the top down. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 taps. All right, and if it keeps going up here, it's going to tap it again, and if it breaks it, it's go time. Okay, that is a strong trend line resistance. Okay, and see how it's lining up with this really strong orange resistance here. That has been a make or break area for a while. Okay, so what we could see is, and look at this. I mean, look at that. First of all, look at this hammer candle, right? Look at that hammer candle, and it closed above, right? And now look at what's happening here. This is go. This is go. This could have been a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it will tap this, and then you'll probably want to come back and find some more buyers, and then plow right through both of these. Have your pivots up, because if it's hitting the R1 on the hourly, it's already broke it. And draw this line, okay, this downward line. But this looks like the E. We were waiting for the E, and that's exactly how you want to see the E. That's how you want to see the E come into play on this like super strong wick. And it held above this support again. See how it was holding a support? It broke down, but then everyone bought it up again. So great. This looks done. This looks ready. And if this is go, you know, then that means the market is probably starting to change a little bit, because XRPs, everyone's talking about it. So if we start seeing it start to pump up and move, you know, it's going to probably bring some more hype in the market. Now, I'm going to show you guys something. What was it at? The weekly R5 is at $8.62. The R3 is at $5.72. The R1 on the weekly is $3.20. Okay, $3.20. Now, because this is a triangle, okay, listen here. Because this is a triangle, that means it's a wave 4. And how Chris and I both look at this is a wave 4 of 3. All right, so we're going to get one more up. And if it starts running through the pivots, we can anticipate R3, R4, or even R5. But that means that, I mean, that would mean that would happen in January. I don't know if it does that all in January. That's kind of wild. So, so when I measure this 1618 extension for wave 5, that does put me near the R3 at $3.80. Okay, $3.80. So that is a target for me. If this starts to break up, the $3.80 is definitely a strong target. And I'm thinking about 380, and I'm like, okay, what will people be calling for? People are going to be calling for $4, $5, $10. So that makes sense. You know, you kind of think about the social mood of what happens. And then from there, if it does kind of spike up and wick start to really pump down, that means 5 is done of 3, and it's going to come back down for 4, right? And then it should still have wave 5. And I think, okay, I'm telling you right now, it's kind of, I'm just kind of throwing some ideas out there. This isn't anything that's concrete, okay? I think that we have a nice kick up here coming into February and into March, possibly. I don't know if it's that long or not, but if we start seeing the XRP breakout, we're going to probably see it move, okay? Because a lot of people are probably looking at this downward line. And if we start breaking that, I think it's going to go, all right? And so January could really be strong, and then if it hits wave five of three, we're going to have a comeback down. So people are going to sell a lot right there. So a lot of people are going to be all hyped and oh my gosh, here we go, we're going to the moon, and then it's going to knock people off their, people are going to be going. So be cautious and make sure you set stop losses if you're going to go into XRP and you understand that there's targets to meet. Okay, you don't want to like run this thing up, and think that's going to go to $100 or whatever. It's going to have people are going to have targets. Okay, people are trading this. Okay, and that's what we're doing here too, is we're trading this. All right. If you want to buy and hold XRP forever, go ahead. That's fine. Do what you got to do. I'm only telling you what I'm doing technically, and I'm thinking that if I'm going to go into this, I'm going to let it run. I'm looking for that $3.80. Take some profits off the table. See what kind of price action we're getting. See what the wave counts look like. Okay, because we want to see 5 waves up from where it's at. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's why I think that R3, R4 area, $4. Maybe it does get closer to 5. I mean, wave 3 top on something like XRP will look pretty gnarly and look crazy, and it could really start to take off. And then we probably will see this crazy big wick, and that's the top indicator, in my opinion. Okay, so very important that first of all, don't let your emotions take over. Okay, let's be smart. I want to make money. I'm sure you do too. And here's the thing: this is wave 3. How we look at this? We look at this as wave 3, finishing up. So we still have a wave 4 and then a wave 5. And the wave 5 should be like fireworks. All right, alt season, that's like when alt season is really kicking off, when you can basically throw a dart at any altcoin and you're making money essentially. That's probably what we're going to see that, and then that's when it's going to really take off. I don't know how I can't measure that yet because I don't know where that's going to lead to finish 3. But for right now, I mean, I guess technically I can kind of guess what that would look like. Here, let's see here. So it's right here. This one right here. Okay, that makes sense. So the 382 from the wave, this were to like end perfectly at $3.80. It would put wave 4 target back to the triangle, which would make sense. That's what a lot of people do. See, like people will be like, "Oh my gosh, I missed it." See it coming back to the triangle, they'd want to jump in because that's where it really kind of took off before. And it puts it right back to where it's at almost exactly. And then from there, we should see one more go. At about $5.15. So that would be your wave 5 target, and an extended target would be $8.50. So those are just ideas. That doesn't mean it's a crystal ball, and that's what's exactly going to happen with XRP. I've seen this thing fly like crazy. So those are just targets. Those are minimum targets. It doesn't even have to go to here. It can keep going. So, but I am overall though, the goal of this conversation with this was the fact that I think E is done, which is fantastic news because it's been taking forever, and now we want to see how this plays out. So you can even go to the 1 hour and see it. So maybe we got a 1, 2. We got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. We wanted to, I think that wave 1 will probably end probably right around that resistance and downward, because we wanted to probably wave 2, and then wave 3 will pop through that. That's my guess, but I don't know, maybe not. 1, 2. Yeah, I'm just looking for pullbacks at this point because I'm thinking we're going here. No, we're going to come back to that resistance point and see what happens. Yeah, see what happens. But it's going to be a go time. I'm telling you right now, what I'm doing is if this thing starts to break through this orange, I'm jumping in. I'm jumping in on the break for sure. I'd like to see it be a 1, 2, and then do the break, because then I can maybe jump in a little early too. But it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not gonna get too crazy with that. So anyway, that's it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that helps. I hope that, like, finding banana, for example, or that's a stupid name. AI16Z, that's obviously one. So we got a couple meme coins. I got that Ray, right? That Ray looked pretty cool. Looks really good. I love that. It's a nice, has a good market cap. It's a good coin. Bitcoin is there you go. It's trying to get over that orange here. And, if we see it close in the next 40 minutes above that, that's solid. Okay. In a perfect world, it gets all the way up to the top of the previous candle and it closes. That's awesome. If this can kind of engulf it back up with less volume, see how the volume is now. Remember how the volume was much lower before? Man, it's been kicking up in this last hour. So, this could be it. This could be a 1. This could be a 1, 2. I know I talked about a lot of downside and what have you, but nothing's a guarantee. And although we broke down the pivot, we're starting to see a lot of strength. It did not break down below C, right? Now it's staying above the EQ. Maybe this next daily candle starts to come and get back to that pivot again. Okay. So although yesterday was terrible, and yesterday was bad. It was a bad candle. But today is like, oh, okay, that's just a big pullback, right? I mean, we're gonna have pullbacks during a bull market, And what happens in pullbacks during a bull market? You're supposed to buy them, right? But emotions and things like that, you're like, oh my gosh, how far is it gonna go, and things like that kind of stop you. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but what we want to then find is what's happening, find the entry point, and figure out where you want to go, either long or short. Okay. In my opinion, I'd like to see this thing go back above the pivot and hold and close. And then maybe it starts to go up to the R1. Okay. That would be like great. Because I think if we see that, the rest of the market's probably doing pretty good. And we can see this starting to reverse. Okay. Anyway, have a great night. God bless, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.